Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's beautiful 28th of June, 2025. Come to the Crusty Canuck podcast, episode 375. Who will pay? Of course, we will. We're the suckers, right? Yes, new NATO plans and all this stuff, and plus 3% DST given to our American friends because our government just can't get its shit together. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Listener view discretion will be advised because I will swear, smoke cigarettes, drink coffee as per usual. See you in a bit.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me.
Oh, yes, sir.
There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues and life. Here's Crusty.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Who will pay? Of course, we will. More sucker punches coming from our federal government. Episode 375, Crusty Canuck Podcast. This episode is brought to you in part by and supported by, ladies and gentlemen, Veterans for Freedom Network. That's right, Stand to Veterans for Freedom. And coming soon, Veterans Freedom TV, like-minded individuals such as myself and others, hopefully be on a network sometime soon. Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. Hope you've had a good couple of days, few days since my last episode. Just a reminder, too, if you like and hear what you see, click like, subscribe, share this content all over social media platforms. Do not be shy. And we'll go from there. That's right. So big news for Canadians right now. A pledge from our government to spend roughly another, $250 billion in the name of NATO, helping our Europeans and Europeans helping us, that kind of thing. And in big news today, a 3% tax on digital creators, digital companies, what have you. And I got a couple articles here. I will read along. But Canada is actually now going to step up and do something about NATO defense spending. Now, they've had the better part of since 1968 to get off their asses and do something about it. I remember my time in the military, we used to hear reports all the time from the Chrétien government, from the Harper government, and from the Trudeau government in regards to what they're going to spend on defense. Now, a year ago, Justin Trudeau was bragging that Canada was spending 1.4% of its GDP on defense. And he made it sound like it was a great big accomplishment. Okay? And it's not an accomplishment. So regardless of how you look at infrastructure, regardless of how you look at building things, there's a big overhaul that's needed. Now, Mr. Carney did promise a 20% increase in soldiers' pay. Okay. But I think he might be going back on that deal as far as we know. Because I remember when Chrétien gave a lot of guys retroactive pay when they had a big pay freeze there back in the early 90s. Because the government just didn't want to spend any money. They just wanted to cut to bring the dollar up. And, they brought the dollar up, but it's what they cut to do that. Now, what is the Carney government going to do, the Blarney Carney government going to do with Canada when they want to increase its defense spending? We all know that he's not going to increase the oil flow because they don't want to repeal Bill C-69. They want to keep the pipelines and they want to keep oil in the ground. That was based on Carney's book, his book about values, right? Yes, isn't that fun, right? And they don't want to create any kind of mineral production too. They talk it, okay? Now, Bill C-5 will allow the government to yay or nay any project anywhere around the country. Okay, now think about that. So they want to increase defense spending, and they want to bring items to market under government eye, basically. That's what I get from Bill C-5. The government basically overwatching more things again, too. And what pisses me off is that a lot of the conservatives sat there and did fuck all about it. That's just me, though. Right? So my question is where is this money going to come from when it comes to defense spending? It's not going to come from our resources. It's not going to come from minerals. It's not going to come from fishing. It's not going to come from agriculture. It's going to come from people like you and me. There you go. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. So that means our taxes are going to go up again and again and again and again. Now, the taxpayer does pay for its military. I get that. Okay. But based on how far procurement is in this country, how far behind and how slack and idle it is. Okay. It is slack and idle. It's a joke. There's too many board members rather than actual boards trying to get things done. Okay. There's too many bureaucrats that sit and have their finger in the pie of the taxpayer all the time. Oh, I want some of this and I want some of that and I want some of this and I want some of that. We have to have this. We have to have that. The budget will balance itself. The budget will balance itself, right? We all heard that fucking show tune before. What a joke. What a bloody joke. So this is this is just, it's just too good to be true, right? They're all talking a good game again, just like last year's Liberals. Justin Trudeau saying, we're going to increase defense spending over a period of time. Every government has said that over a period of time. Yeah, they can hand out how many billions of dollars to a dirty fucking war. They can hand out how many billions of dollars just like that to whatever humanitarian aid to whatever struggling country that's full of warlords that take their piece of the pie too. So it's all lip service, ladies and gentlemen. It's all smoke and mirrors, like I said in my last episode. And basically, who will pay? It'll be us. Our taxes will go up. Our cost of living will go up again. While the fat cats in Ottawa, and Toronto, Montreal sit there and count the money. All the contractors or subcontractors that will have to motivate people to make this equipment, to make it Canadian, up to Canadian standards, right? Now, regardless of what deal they've come up with in closed doors in Europe, okay, Canada's not Europe. We're part of North America, right? Now, today, Trump basically said no more negotiations when it comes to trading. And there's people I've seen on my Twitter feed and my TikTok feed sitting there praising the high heavens that Mr. Carney's doing such a great job. Oh, isn't that just wonderful? Look, he just elbows up. Yeah, okay. You're going to be on your fucking hands and knees, ladies and gentlemen. There's not going to be any elbows up. There's going to be hands up. Okay? There's no elbows up here. It's going to be fucking hands up, period. Okay? Now, I'm not kissing the Americans' butts. I'm not kissing Donald Trump's butt here. Okay, but he's got a valid point. The man is big business. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to a deal, when it comes to trading. And he's canceling all negotiations because he's given our federal government ample time to come up with some kind of fucking deal. And what have they done? Really, what have they done? They've had a catchy slogan during the campaign. Okay, people bought it. People bought the fear. People drank the Kool-Aid. And what's next? Okay. Europe's going to come in and save the day and become our big trading partner. Well, last year's Liberals turned Europe away when it came to LNG, turned Europe away when it came to other resources. But hey, there's still lots of cash to hand out, right? For a dirty fucking war. Oh, there's lots of cash there, right? So it puts things in perspective. What exactly is in the works? Like I say, ladies and gentlemen, who's going to pay for this? We will. And it's not going to look good.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And you're back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 375 of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Who will pay? We will, of course. Who's going to pay for all these great NATO spending and all these great ideas? Oh, my God, good idea fairies coming at our butts. And our wallets, ladies and gentlemen. Just a reminder, too, if you like and hear what you see, click like and subscribe, share this content on all of your social media platforms. Do not be shy. Give me a comment, too. Reminder, it's still June. It's still Men's Mental Health Awareness. And happy Pride out there to my homosexual followers. Happy Pride to you all out there, too. I'm not going to get politically incorrect, or am I going to be politically correct? I don't believe anybody should receive accolades just because they decide to sleep with somebody. Whatever. You do what you want in your bedroom. I don't care. Be proud of yourself. Be proud of your accomplishments. But just because you have sex a different way doesn't make you a fucking rocket scientist. Doesn't make you the hero that cured cancer. Okay? So enough of this political jumbo about people's sexual lives. I could care less. I don't condemn anybody who is. I don't condemn anybody who isn't. I don't really care. I don't lose any sleep at night knowing that Bob and Steve down the road are getting busy, or if June and Edna are getting busy over here, or if there's a group over here, a group over there just likes dancing around. I don't care. Live your life to the best of your ability, and happy Pride out there to you all. Excuse me. But I will recommend and I will acknowledge some of my fellow veterans and some of my fellow service people that put their lives on the line every day and have to deal with the mental complications that follow. All right. So I'll get more to that towards the end of the episode, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, carrying out this episode in regards to the NATO spending. Now I'm going to queue up a 5-minute video here with Mr. Carney that hits peace in Europe. Oh my God, what a putz. Like Eastern Canada, you guys voted for this shit. You did. You got nobody to blame. When things get tighter in your wallets, you will know who to blame. You blame yourself, who took the X and voted for your Liberal candidate. Really, when you think about it. How else do you justify the stupidity and the buffoonery that has been distilled on all of us here, right? You know, you voted for safety. What kind of safety is going to come out when our cost of living has gone sky high again? You know, and chances are our cost of living will go sky high, but then again, who is actually going to pay for it? Us, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, here's Mr. Blarney Carney and his bullshit in Europe this past week.
In addition to individuals who facilitate and profit from the atrocities committed, we are providing Ukraine with $2 billion of additional assistance. We also are offering a $2.3 billion loan that will help Ukraine to rebuild its infrastructure, public services, and civil society.
Canada is helping to ensure, and through our discussions, I'm very pleased with the discussions and how they evolved, that the new NATO targets of 5% of GDP, those new NATO targets, are tailored to address new threats and challenges, and that the capabilities required to meet this moment have been the driving factors for those targets. Importantly, the trajectory and the balance of the new NATO defense pledge will be reviewed in 2029 to ensure that the commitments align with the global security landscape. Throughout Canada's history, there have been turning points when the world's fortunes have been in the balance. And each time, Canada has chosen to step up, to lead on the path of democracy and freedom. We're once again at one of those moments. If we want the world of tomorrow to be shaped by our values, Canada must be ready. If we want a more secure world, we need a stronger Canada that works with our allies. And today is a very important step to build both. Thank you very much, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We're now going to begin the question period. We'll begin with Steve Chase. First question.
Period. Hi, Steve Chase for the Globe and Mail. I want to ask you to what extent you have social license, to what extent you think you have public support for what defense experts are saying would be the largest increase in defense spending since the Second World War. We're talking 7% increases a year to reach that 50 billion number. It's going to crowd out other investments. It's going to crowd out requests for healthcare transfer increases. So to what extent do you think you have public support for this?
Well, thanks for the question, Steve. Let me answer this in two ways. The first is to provide some context to the overall 5% number. 1.5% of that 5% is what's called a defense industrial pledge. And as I described very briefly in my remarks, it's much more deep.
Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave this this in my description for you because I cannot stand the sound of the word salads that come out of these individuals' mouths. No, really, I get so sick and tired of hearing the regurgitated answers, regurgitated this. Well, I'll answer this in 2 ways, or I'll answer this in 3 ways. How about you just answer the fucking question? Okay, you were elected to do a job. You've hired the same people that Trudeau had. Okay, the same buffoonery, the same incompetence. Where's the money going to come from? That's the question the Canadian taxpayers should be asking. Where is this money going to come from? You're going to print and print and print, borrow and borrow and borrow, while we all pay and pay and pay. So you might have something flashy for our army, or you might have something flashy for our Air Force. You might have a certain standard for all 3 branches of our service here. Okay, now they got some good ideas, but guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Those ideas, those talking points came right out of the conservative mandates prior to the election. And it came out of the mouths of babes prior to any election when it came to the concerned Canadian taxpayer that wants a standing military to do its fucking job. I'm not blaming the troops. I'm not blaming some of the leaders in our military. I will blame the bureaucrats and elected officials that have sat around for the better part of 50 odd years and did squat. That's who I'm blaming. And now what I just presented to you is nothing but fucking lip service. That's all. How else do you say it? Every time the man's asked a question, let me answer it this way. Let me answer it that way. How about you just bloody answer it? like a leader should. Huh? Keep it simple, right? Anyway, I got an article here about the 3% DST, digital service tax, that our country is charging tech moguls from around the globe, not just the States, but from around the globe. Like, holy shit, eh? It's so desperate to embarrass us again. That's what it is. That's what it is. And you may disagree with me, and you're more than welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to disagree with me. If you happen to be sitting in Ontario or La Belle Province, you want to talk to me about this, let me know. Let me know in the comments or send me an email. My contact information is in my description. But I'll cue this up here too. Our defense spending is a joke because there's so many boards and so many loopholes and so many hoops that our government has had to go through, or that our government has created. Honestly, our government has created half the loopholes that we're having to deal with today. How else do you explain it, ladies and gentlemen? Really? How else do you explain it? And now they're sitting there talking a great game and saying, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But anyway, here's something from Fox News in regards to the 3% DST that our government is pushing down Donald Trump's throat there. And, you know, it's just, it makes you think, what are these clowns really doing for our country? Are they really going out of their way to give us a hand? Are they really going to help us? Do they really care about what they're doing? You know, I really don't think they do. I really don't think they give a shit, to be honest with you. But Kevin O'Leary is going to make an appearance here, and listen to what he has to say. You may love or hate the guy, but he's got business smarts. You should listen to what he has to say.
Court taking the shackles off of Trump's agenda. The S&P, the NASDAQ did hit new record highs. China confirmed it has a new trade deal framework with the Trump White House. President Trump basically is saying this framework is good for America. The White House is saying trade deals with 10 key U.S. trading partners are imminent. They're fighting with Canada. That's on hold. The deals could come before July 9th, before higher Trump tariffs kick in. Trump says the U.S. will end trade negotiations with Canada over their digital services tax. Canada was planning on taxing U.S. tech companies. Trump says he's not going to do that. Let's get right to Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful himself. Kevin, was Trump right all along on the tariffs?
So this particular tiff, fight, disagreement, whatever you want to call it, started in 2019 under the reign of the idiot king, Justin Trudeau. It was bad policy then, it's bad policy now. It's causing a major rift, a 3% tax on tech companies operating in Canada. You know, this whole thing between Canada and the United States, the whole thing's stupid. There should be no tariffs in either direction. Here's why. These jurisdictions, these geographies are joined. You don't have to sell the country. You don't have to merge the countries. But Canada has all the power, the water, the paper, the minerals, rare earths, everything. And the U.S. has the largest market. There should be no tariffs in any direction. And you do that to create wealth for both countries to fight off China. We're in a war with China because China's coming over the north. So the whole idea of all this crapola is a waste of time. And so really, I look at this saying it's just more negotiation. It's irrelevant. It's going to get worked out. But the whole thing's stupid. You know, there's still a tariff on butter coming out of Vermont at 200% going into Quebec. How stupid is that? It's all stupid. It's all stupid. And at the end of the day, that's why they got rid of the idiot king. They put a new prime minister in place, and he's trying to fix things. But the Canadian economy has been decimated. Zero GDP growth.
Oh, technical issues there, ladies and gentlemen. Anyhow, what I will do is I will put this in the description for you. So my apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I just didn't know what was going on there. My deepest apologies. I don't know what was happening here. I think my feed got kind of compromised here. Looks like my signal's still good. Anyhow, but it's basically what he was saying was the simple fact that the whole tariffs things were a joke. It was a waste of time, waste of effort, and they should be concentrating on bigger things. Okay. Like I say, I'll leave this article in the description for you so you can watch at your leisure. Once again, my apologies for that technical issue. But I think you see my point when it comes to how our leaders are operating here. Okay. Like I still shake my head at how many people are still backing this idiocy up. Okay. I shake my head and wonder why there's still so many people who are lost in the clouds. They want to fight for Canada now all of a sudden. They want to fight for our sovereignty. They want to fight for identity. And yet where were they in 2022 when we were being locked up like fucking animals, being told where to walk, being told how many bags we can have, being told where to spend our money and who to give it to? Huh? Things in perspective now, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. I also want to say, too, that I've had some people on my Twitter feed who have reached out to me. Thank you very much. You guys are wonderful. And I'm seeing more people from the United States downloading my show. Thank you to my American friends. Give you guys a round of applause. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. So keep downloading, keep sharing, subscribing, all that good stuff. But I want to say I've had a few people come out my Twitter feed, and they want me to use these apps or that apps or this app or that app. If you want to talk to me and you see me on Twitter, engage me on Twitter. I'm also on TikTok now, too. I'm going to be adding some more shorts there on TikTok sometime this evening. So I got nothing against you reaching out to me on TikTok or on Twitter, but I'm not going to download any more applications just to make your life easier. Okay? I don't do it. I don't trust certain apps out there, especially when you get a bunch of people saying, oh, download this app, download that app. No. You want to talk to me and engage me? You can talk to me on Twitter. You can talk to me on TikTok, or use the email that's in my description to reach out to me. Okay? Now, that being said, I'm going to carry on with this episode, too. Once again, my apologies for that technical issue with that video I uploaded, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, I'll leave it in my description. You can decide from there. But I really want to get back into the mental health issue that a lot of men are facing this day and age. I'm not going to dwell on it like an old schoolgirl, but I'm going to dwell into the simple fact that yours truly, like I said in my last episode, I do suffer from PTSD, ladies and gentlemen. It's not overwhelming. I can function like everybody else. But you don't get PTSD from reading a paragraph. You don't get PTSD from hearing some bad words or being insulted or being offended. You get PTSD from living, from experiencing. And I'm not going to say lived experience because that's just a contradiction. How else do you have an experience if you're not fucking living, for God's sakes? Excuse me. Unless you're stoned, but you're still alive, right? But I just want to remind people there too, if especially to the married women out there and the women that are committed to their men. I'm not trying to be sexist. I'm not trying to be misogynistic. I'm trying to be realistic here. I have personally witnessed a few men that I've known, that I've served with, that I've worked with, who were really, really chastised by their wives and girlfriends over issues. Now, ladies, I'd like to remind you too, that men are allowed to hurt, okay? We're allowed to hurt too. We're allowed to feel. We're allowed to express ourselves. We're allowed to be, just like you are, okay? And just because we may be built a bit differently, have a different set of hormones, a different outlook in things, if we get lost, don't hesitate to give us a compass or be that compass. If we get hurt, don't hesitate to let us know that everything's okay. Because men do get hurt, believe it or not. There was a situation where I was lost and my wife gave me a hand. Took some encouragement from others, but she pulled through and I pulled through. And I'm partially here today because of her efforts. Okay? So if you see a guy hurting, don't ever tell him to suck it up. It's not like he fell off a swing set or stubbed his toe on a table, or hit his thumb with a hammer. We've all done that. It goes deeper than that, ladies and gentlemen. It goes a hell of a lot deeper. It gets into your head. It gets into your heart. It can do a number on you. So if there's someone in your life that you're concerned with and you're worried about, and he means the world to you, show him that you mean the world to him. And he means the world to you. Help. Listen. That's the biggest thing that you can do too, is to listen. Don't worry about the cliches or the list of expectations. Listen to your brother. Listen to your husband. Listen to your boyfriend. Listen to your father. Listen to your friend. If you're still friends with an ex, listen to him too. But just be attentive and give them the peace they need. That's probably the best thing you can do right now. And then recommend, a phone number or someone they can talk to. But you want people to open up and express themselves. And you have to tolerate how they're going to express themselves. It's that simple, ladies. But I'm not going to dwell on that. I'm not going to say I'm not pinpointing individuals. I'm just pinpointing a handful of people. People that have shunned us men folk over the years for things, right? This isn't meant to put anybody down or disenfranchise anyone. It's just there's still a stigma out there when it comes to men's mental health. And we got to fight that stigma because men are human too, and we are allowed to hurt just like you are, right? So when it comes to something that's important and something we have to express ourselves with, écoutez-moi. Écoutez-toi, right? Just listen. It's that simple. And go from there. Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, I have been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 28th of June, 2025. I wish good things for you all there. One more time, I apologize for the technical issues I had with that video that I put up earlier, but I said I'll put that in the description, and you can follow along what Mr. OLeary had to say about the whole tariff and the 3% DST. It sounds like fucking some kind of kid song. Anyhow, DST. So, like I say, look after your friends and loved ones. Weather is getting better. We've had rain here today, so we need that moisture, which was nice. But to all my friends who have been watching from the United States and Europe, thank you once again. Thank you once again. You guys are awesome. Really awesome. And I wish good things for you all out there. Keep your wits about you. Do what you can help you in these trying times. Look after your friends, loved ones, all that good stuff. Give a neighbor a hand. Give yourself a hand. Just try to be good to people to the best of your ability, ladies and gentlemen. And like I always say, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, and I'll see you next time, folks. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally working.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Well, smack my ass and call me Judy.